seems that the new thing now is people seem to be unloading their catalogs. Taylor Swift did something very unique. She released her entire catalog, and now she got new masters, and the record companies are trying to say now that
they're trying to change agreements. Yeah. There's two types of catalogs you can sell.
Okay.
One is your publishing catalog, which is your share of writing,
right,
which most artists can sell.
Right.
Their portion of writing a song.
Right.
Then there's another side of the catalog, which is the master side.
Right.
Most artists don't own that to sell. They don't own that to sell. Taylor didn't own that to sell.
Right.
Okay. That's the reason why she was mad, because they sold it to somebody else,
and she wouldn't give her a chance to buy it.
Well, that's and I'm gonna tell you something about that nobody ever talked about. Her father owned a piece of that company, so I don't know why her father didn't tell her. Her father owned a piece of the company that sold it.
Right.
So I don't know how she didn't know any of that.
Right.
To be frank with you, and I got no horse in this race. It was just very odd that the beef was so loud that they sold it and nobody ever told her about it. And I'm thinking, well, your father benefited from the sale of this.
Right.
Number one. Number two, most artists don't have that, which is the reason why I fight for that, about ownership of masters, because that's the thing that has all of the long-term value that you could, your family could benefit from for years to come.
Right.
Which is the reason why you should maintain and own your master rights. The multiples that are being paid for these things are really high, very, very high. And for those who can benefit from it, it's great, which is the reason why, again, the artist should hold it. To me, it's one of those things that I personally, if I was an artist, I wouldn't sell it. If I owned my catalog,
right,
you can get a loan against it,
right,
borrow against it, whatever. It's very valuable. You can license it,
right,
but I wouldn't sell it. It's because what's happening is, as technology changes, it keeps unlocking new value. So it was worth one thing. Then when there was vinyl, and then all of a sudden when CDs came, it became exponentially more valuable because then everybody started rebuying it again.
Right.
Right. All of a sudden you started buying Bob Marley's greatest hits, or whoever, Barry White's greatest hits. Mm-hmm. You name the act that you like. Every time new technology comes out, the catalog becomes much more valuable again because people are, reformatting the music in which they have it on, or rebuying that new format.
Right.
So it's very hard. The guy who's buying it is betting that the new format change is going to only lead to more value over time. The person selling it thinking it's not. If you can afford to get a loan against it or license it, you can still get some money without necessarily selling it. That's what I would do. But the key is to own it. If you don't own it, you're not even in this conversation. You can sit here and ask artists, what do you feel about selling catalog? And they'll sit there and tell you, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have any catalog to sell. Which is again, fucked up.
A lot of times these brands will throw a large sum of money and an athlete or an entertainer will take that. It's like, okay, fine. But how do you convince them, like, take less of this and become partnership or equity stake?
Jay-Z understood that from the beginning because he was an independent artist.
Okay.
So when Jay-Z was selling music out the back of a trunk, which Master P did, which Birdman and Cash Money did, Luke Skywalker did. There's some great entrepreneurs who sold like literally hand-to-hand combat with distributing music. What they knew was, whether they got there because they tried to get a record deal and then they got turned down, so then they had to just do that, they learned the margin was there. That was the first time you got a chance to look under the hood and realize, wait a minute, this thing that cost me, $1 to make, that I could sell for $16, all that money right there, that's mine. If I got a record deal, I'd be getting a small fraction of that. Once you learn that, once you see that, you can't unsee that.
Right.
So betting on yourself becomes the right thing to do because that's where the margin is. When I started United Masters, the whole point of building this company, our music company, was that I felt like artists should be independent. They should keep a lion's share of the money. They shouldn't give away their name and likeness because they got money when they was 18 years old or their first record deal. In order for that deal to be a good idea, the record company has to have more belief in you than you have in yourself. Right? Mm-hmm. Because they're basically saying, I'm giving you $500,000 and you're going to give me your name and likeness for the next 10 years or whatever the term is. You didn't even get a chance to find out what it's worth on your own.
Right.
Being independent, there was a period of time where it was hard to be independent. When those guys did it, not everybody was built for that. But today, while music is being distributed between Apple and Spotify, and you have a platform like United Masses that you can go through and put your music out and get it distributed everywhere, why would you not do that versus going to get a record deal, getting some money, but sacrificing, giving away all of the upside for a short-term check? It just don't make no sense.
But Steve, is it a case of I've always wanted a record deal. I've always wanted to work with a record company.
Yeah, it is that. By the way, 2 Chainz had the same argument with me years ago. He goes, you don't understand. I'm like, that's the dream. Well, the fact of the matter is, part of the dream is to get paid. That is not how you get paid. You're not going to get paid that way. Secondly, this is not 20 years ago where you had to take CDs and get them into all these points of distribution and print up a bunch of CDs. So your cost outlay was so hard, was so expensive because you had to make the song and make 10,000, 20,000 of these things. You were out a lot of money before you found out if it worked. You can find out if it worked for $50 right now, for nothing, essentially nothing. The cost of recording has gone down. You can sign up to a platform like ours for $60, put all the music out you want, and you find out if you ever hit. At least do that to find out if you want to make that decision. And then you have leverage when you make that decision later. Man, maybe I will get a record deal. But you already got a hit. So now they can't sit and tell you, well, we're betting on you. No. You know I got a hit.
Right. I already bet on me.
So come correct.
You mentioned that Jay-Z, when he partnered with Reebok, and we see Travis Scott now with Nike. I think M had something with Nike. You see Jack Harlow's with New Balance. 50 was G-Unit, had something with Reebok.
Yeah.
Now you see the culture, as you spoke about, and you believe the influence that it had with brands. You see a lot more of that.
Yeah. I started that.
That's what I'm saying. You the godfather.
No. Started that. Everybody knows that.
That's you.
That's me.
Oh.
That's called corporate America. I'm going to introduce you to this thing called hip hop.
Okay.
And the music and the culture and everything that it represents can help you. That's what I did. And everywhere I go around the world, anyone who knows me knows I did that. I feel great about that.
Right.
I own it not. I still do believe that we should be way more protective of who we give that to.
Right.
Because you don't want to give it to people, again, that's not your partner who's going to invest in it to further it versus see what they can take from it.
Right.
Just for short-term gain. You don't want to give it away for that. I don't think it's worth it.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party because we like to do something before 2 something.